Well, hello there, Elizabeth Hines here from our Paleo family and the Autoimmune-Free Cooking Club. So we're doing Thanksgiving this week. I'm hoping to get you all geared up for this big holiday full of fun and good food, and hopefully showing you that you can partake in all the good holiday stuff and stick to your healthy diet. So my specialty is helping people with autoimmune disease, but you know, the same things we talk about doing for managing autoimmune disease work for other chronic health conditions like arthritis, type 2 diabetes. So you don't have to change the channel if you don't have an autoimmune disease, but oh my goodness, so many people do. Especially women. And if you have one autoimmune condition, you're much more likely to get another one. So if you don't enjoy your autoimmune disease and would like to manage it naturally, then stay tuned and maybe subscribe to my channel. And hopefully you will learn how to manage it with diet and lifestyle. Because that's what I do. I teach functional medicine. I'm a certified functional medicine health coach. I just happen to love food. I love cooking. I love eating. I love teaching people how to cook. Most people know how to eat. But I like helping people figure out how they can enjoy all their favorite foods and be healthy and not have to live on so many medications. Okay. We can talk more about all that stuff in a minute. Right now, let me tell you what I'm doing. So we're doing Thanksgiving this week, and today we're making the dressing. The dressing, or the stuffing, whatever you call it. In my skillet here, which is about on medium, getting a little browned butter, I had a half a cup of butter, salted, grass-fed butter. You could use, if you cannot tolerate dairy, use ghee, use a good cooking oil. Man, the recommendation on olive oil has been all over the place. Heat it, don't heat it. It's back to, they're saying, yes, you can heat up olive oil and you're not destroying anything. So, you know, I don't know what to tell you about that. If you love the flavor of olive oil and you would like to cook with olive oil, you can use olive oil. A good cooking oil. You know, we don't want to use canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil. Those guys are inflammatory. We get so many inflammatory oils in our diet when we eat packaged foods, or if you eat in a restaurant, guaranteed that's what you're getting. So control what you can. So I need 2 cups of onions and 2 cups of celery. So I have an extra onion here. I wasn't sure how many it was going to take. Sorry. I can't stand those little onion peels all over the place. I got excited talking to you about functional medicine. Let me slow down for a second and tell you what we have here. Since we're making dressing, we need some bread, right? So for years and years and years, I just used gluten-free bread, but I have just made a good paleo bread. So paleo will be completely grain-free. Gluten-free bread is going to be made with rice flour, corn flour, probably lots of additives that are typically not the best for you. There are brands that are better than others, but it is certainly a decent substitute for occasionally. But a good paleo bread would be better, right? Because it would be completely grain-free and dairy-free. And this one is so good. And I made it on Saturday, and it's been drying. And then the darker is my paleo cornbread. Cornbread, because there's no corn in it. Corn is a grain. We don't eat grains. And especially corn. I can do some grains, a little white rice, a little oatmeal, that kind of thing. But corn I cannot tolerate. So this one is made with almond flour and flaxseed. And it really, I think it tastes like cornbread. It has a similar texture. It has a delicious flavor. I make it in my cast iron. I just left this here to show you. I cook it in my cast iron. It gets that crispy edge. It's so good. So we have 8 cups of bread. You can choose the bread you like. I'm putting my bread in the oven. This has been drying out. This is a little drier naturally. And I'm going to put it in and let it toast while I make this part, and then we'll pull it out. So I have 2 cups of onion in there and 2 cups of, I'm going to get 2 cups of celery, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. My broth is unsalted because I'm out of my homemade broth. So to go with our dressing tonight, I just bought a rotisserie chicken. I'm trying to make it easy on myself on a filming day. So I will cook that rotisserie chicken carcass and replenish my broth. But for now, today for this recipe, I'm going to be using this Pacific bone broth, chicken bone broth, and it's unsalted. So I'm going to make sure I add sufficient salt. So there's my 2 cups of onions. I'm going to get my 2 cups of celery, and I'm just cutting it from the end. This is organic celery. Anything that grows in the ground like that, you want to buy organic if you can. I'm using the leaves and everything because the leaves have great flavor. So I do want to dice this fairly small. Stuffing dressing is one of those things that is kind of a controversial food. You know, every family has a different idea of what that is supposed to look like. Do you stuff it in the turkey? Do you bake it in a casserole dish? Some people's dressing is sort of like a souffle almost. It has lots of eggs, lots of liquid. It has kind of a wet texture. Other people, it's very dry, almost like cubes of bread. My family, we call it dressing. We don't put it in the turkey, and it's sort of in the middle. It's not super dry. It's not super wet. It's kind of in the middle. I'll show you. But it's one of those recipes that you can really adjust it. If you like it more that sort of souffle texture, you can almost blend it up. You want things to be smoother, you can add more eggs. You're just going to have to bake it longer. But it's a really easy recipe to change up the flavor. You don't have to say, oh, I really love stuffing, I'm just going to eat the kind with gluten. You don't have to eat the kind with gluten. You can make something that is different and better, and I think everybody else will love it too if you're cooking for a crowd. I'm so used to eating this way that maybe I'm a little bit, my taste buds are a little distorted, but I really think that a paleo recipe compared to a traditional recipe tastes better because we don't have like plain white bread. This is not quite 2 cups, but it's fine. I'm tired of chopping, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there. Everything we're adding has a lot more flavor than, you know, a non-paleo counterpart. So, of course it's going to taste better. So we're going to let these cook for about 15 minutes. I really want them to get translucent. They need to be soft. It's one of my favorite smells, the celery and onions cooking. Now I'm adding cremini mushrooms. You don't have to, but I love the flavor and texture in there. Again, you can run these through a food processor if you want them to have a very fine texture, if you want your dressing not to be chunky. I also have what is essentially sausage in my dressing. I start with ground pork so that I can add my own spices, but you can just use whatever pork or whatever sausage you like the flavor of. I would go with a sage sausage rather than an Italian sausage. I made that mistake one year. You know, the Italian sausage will have fennel and I don't know, sometimes garlic, different, more Italian type spices, and that flavor did not go very well with the dressing. But a typical breakfast sausage is going to be flavored with sage primarily, and that of course goes beautifully with poultry and dressing the rest of our Thanksgiving recipes. This was a very, very dirty package of mushrooms, so I really had to scrub them. I'm going to chop them up a little bit more. I don't want great big slices in there. So I've shown you this week how to make, actually I think it was last week, how to make a turkey breast in your Instant Pot, which is of course a great time saver, but it's also a space saver. If you do not have 2 ovens, and if you're making, you know, all those yummy side dishes, it's hard to have space for everything. It's like this great juggling act of Thanksgiving to get everything done at the same time. So cooking your turkey breast in the Instant Pot is a great use of that tool. So watch that video if that sounds good to you. I'll show you how to, you know, make a gravy at the end that's absolutely delicious. I know a lot of people say like their family really prefers ham, or they have something else they really like turkey. So maybe you're not needing to make that whole great big turkey. This will be great. You can just do a turkey breast. But, you know, my 6-quart, there would have been plenty of room in there for 2. I had about a 2.5 pound boneless turkey breast. I could have easily fit 2 in there. So you could really feed 10 to 12 people and cook your turkey in the Instant Pot. Okay, so this is going for a few more minutes. Then I'm going to add in my mushrooms and my pork, and then we'll start mixing up the other stuff. Sorry, I only make dressing at Thanksgiving, so it is not a recipe that I have memorized. I gotta look back. I wrote a cookbook several years ago called Your Paleo Holiday. It's an ebook. I have recipes for fall, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, Super Bowl party. Perhaps that's all. Easter maybe. And this is one of the recipes in that book. You can get that book if you'd like. It is $10 from Apple Books or Amazon, Your Paleo Holiday. I'll link it down below. I'll do the Amazon link. But yeah, this recipe is from there. But it is a little bit different because, like I said, I have the paleo bread now. Okay, so that's going to cook away. And I need a bowl. Let me clear some of this stuff out. Go ahead and start mixing up the other stuff. So I'm going to have eggs, broth, coconut aminos, and some spices. And I need my eggs. So we have a lot of new faces here. If you're new, I would love it if you would just leave a comment, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, why you're watching. Are you trying to learn the Instant Pot? Are you trying to improve your health? You just think I'm fabulous, you want to hang out in my kitchen, whatever the reason. Love to know. We're a very nice, encouraging channel. Sometimes somebody will leave a not nice comment and we respond nicely and hope that they go away. And generally they do. Because we want to encourage one another. Like I said, I'm working with people who are trying to manage chronic disease with diet and lifestyle, and that's hard. It's not an easy thing to do, and so we need support, we need encouragement, and we need to hold each other up, not tear each other down. So pretty big on being a nice channel and trying to help each other. I'm going to beat up my eggs. I'm going to mix up my eggs. This was the broth that was in the bottom of my rotisserie chicken, so I just poured it in there. I'm going to start with 3 cups of broth. Actually, I'm going to start with 2, and I'll add more. Sometimes when I'm baking dressing, I end up adding more during the baking process. It just kind of, it depends on the bread. I don't want it to be soggy. Some people like it, what I would say is soggy. I don't want it soggy, and so I'd rather hold back a little bit and add more. This is like, I think it's just an herb from the chicken, but that was bothering me. I didn't want that in there. So coconut aminos is like soy sauce, and it has a ton of flavor, a ton. And We love it on just about anything. And so I was looking to just boost the flavor a teeny bit in my dressing when I was making this recipe. And that's kind of my go-to. Does it need a little something? Yeah. Let's add a little coconut aminos and see if that does the trick. And often it does. In this case, it did. So I ended up putting a little aminos in my dressing recipe. 4 teaspoons, or a tablespoon and a teaspoon. All right. So I'm going to add my spices to this too, my herbs, I guess, which will be really cooking down, just what I want. Some spices I add to that, and some I add to the 4 teaspoons of sage, which I do not have. 1, 2. Notice I'm not measuring extremely carefully. That was the most 3, but that's all I have. So that'll be enough. And 4 teaspoons of poultry seasoning. Which has sage in it. So I could, if I feel like, is it empty? If I feel like I need more sage, I'll add in a little more poultry seasoning. 2, 3, 4. Measure, smeasure. It's just, it can be very loose. 2 teaspoons of dried thyme, which I only have, fresh, I only have dried. So I'm just going to use 1 teaspoon, 1 heaping teaspoon. I feel like I'm the Swedish chef from the Muppets. Just throwing things around. It'll be fine. I hope I'm showing you that cooking does not have to be intimidating. It does not have to be super precise. Baking, yes. More precise. Cooking, no. Does not have to be precise. You can start with a recipe and really change it up. Be flexible with it. So, yes, that's this whole liquid part minus probably more, what do you call that stuff? Broth, more broth. I'm going to get my mushrooms in here. When I took a little trip to the refrigerator, I stirred my bread around. You want to not ignore your bread so it doesn't burn, although my oven's on really low, so it's fine. I'm just trying to dry it out a teeny bit more. And the reason to dry it out is so that you can then make it moist again with all this flavorful stuff. So we're just getting the plain old boring water out of the bread so we can make it more flavorful. Okay, we'll let that go for just a minute. I'm going to add a little more salt, and then I will add my pork in. In the first video in this series, I talked about, I didn't cook anything, it was just planning the Thanksgiving week. Let's assume that you're hosting and you're making all the main stuff. You know, your guests might be bringing salads or, you know, extra desserts or something, but you're making the turkey, the dressing, the sweet potatoes, the cranberry salad, and a pie. So I've shown you how to make all those things. In that first video, I just talked about how to plan the week, and you can do some things really far ahead, like the cranberry relish, you can make way ahead. The dressing, you want to make it the day of. You can, say you eat dinner, you can make it, I mean, like, you know, you eat your big Thanksgiving meal at nighttime. You can make your dressing earlier in the day, but with the eggs mixed with, it's a food safety thing, so you really want to not have your dressing sitting around. And it does take a little while. It's still, the dressing bakes in about 30 minutes, the same as sweet potatoes, same as a lot of casseroles, $3.50 for 30 minutes. Very convenient. Depending on how much you make, sometimes we make like 1.5 batch or a double batch if we're serving a lot of people. That obviously is going to take longer to bake, and you want to make sure it's cooked all the way through because of the eggs. But the prep part of it takes longer than some of the other dishes. So just plan out your day accordingly. If you're making a whole turkey, that can roast earlier. While your turkey's roasting, you can be making your dressing. Your turkey's going to come out and it's going to be resting while you're baking your side dishes. So that works out fine. But just keep in mind, when you're going to make your dressing, do this part that we're doing now if you are wanting to spend time doing other things on the big day, okay? Unfortunately, this is just not one that you can make ahead of time. I should say, unless you just want to have it left over. You can certainly eat it left over. So if you want to make it the day before and bake it completely, that's totally fine. And it actually heats up really well. You just can't do all this mixing up and keep it raw, not baked, and then bake it the next day. That would be getting into a food safety issue. You could certainly bake it, have it completely done, and reheat it on Thanksgiving if that's what works with your schedule. I've worked out my schedule. This is the plan that I have provided for you as an example, so that I can watch the parade with my family. I can take a walk in the morning or do some kind of exercise. And we tended to eat like mid-afternoon, 2, 3, something like that. So that's my frame of reference and what I presented to you in terms of a schedule. Let me get this stuff out of our way. So while this is cooking, let me just talk to you for just a minute, because if you're new here, I want you to know what's going on. My YouTube channel is called Our Paleo Family. That's a blog I created 4 years ago, going on 5 now, that really told my story of how I healed from Crohn's disease using functional medicine, diet, and lifestyle. And I created the website to share how I learned how to cook in this new way, keep my picky family happy, keep myself healthy. I've been off of medication for many, many years. I do not have flares with my Crohn's disease. I'm fine. For all intents and purposes, I'm fine. But because I have an autoimmune condition, like I said earlier, I'm more likely to get another one. So like I'm constantly on, is it offense or the defense? I'm trying to keep myself from getting another autoimmune condition. So I sort of live my life like I'm treating one. Does that make sense? Even though I feel like my Crohn's disease is in remission or completely gone, I know my body is prone to autoimmunity. So I live like I have one. I don't think, oh, I can eat gluten, or oh, I can do this, because I don't want my Crohn's to come back, and I don't want to develop another autoimmune condition. Some are not that big of a deal and don't affect your life much, and some are debilitating or deadly. And so that's what we do. That's what I'm doing personally. My husband has type 1 diabetes, which is also an autoimmune condition. So this is the way we eat in our house to hopefully keep, that genetic piece for our kids as minimal as possible. Autoimmunity is about 25% genetic and 75% environment, which is great news because the environmental piece is what we can control. That's what we eat. That's what we put on our skin. That's what we breathe in. So I started that blog. So everything is Our Paleo Family. Well, just this past fall, I took my functional medicine health coaching business and I combined it with my love of cooking and helping people learn how to do this practically day in and day out. And I created the Autoimmune-Free Cooking Club. And it is a membership. And so if you go back and watch some of my old videos and they have a link to the recipe on my website, chances are you can't get those recipes because it is a members only community at this time. There are some recipes that are available for free under a free membership, but you do still have to sign up for that membership and you have to sign up when enrollment is open. And enrollment will only open about 4 times per year. Honestly, I'm brand new. This is a new venture. Enrollment's only been open once, but my plan is to do it quarterly. So right now, enrollment will be opening again January 6th. We'll let you get through New Year's and recover. And then enrollment will open January 6th. So if you sign up for the free membership, you'll get access to those free recipes, which there are 20 of them. I'll change them out seasonally. But if you sign up for the paid membership, you get everything on the website, which is hundreds of recipes, meal plans, just other informative articles, and health coaching from me once a week. We meet weekly and we hold each other accountable. Like I said, this community here on YouTube, I'm trying to grow this positive and helpful community, and that's what we have in the membership. I have attracted, I don't want to say this like in an arrogant way, but the members in our group right now are amazing. They're kind and loving, such generosity of spirit. We hold each other accountable in a very kind and caring way, and that is what I wanted in our membership, and it's what we have. Those are the people that joined, people that have those character traits. So I'm super thankful. It's an amazing community, and I'd love for you to be a part of it if you are that kind of person. If this is something that you're really trying to do, you want to manage your health condition as naturally as possible, but maybe you're having a little trouble making it happen. You know, when the rubber meets the road, it's hard. When you're in an office and there are donuts and cake and stuff all the time, it's hard to pass that up. I understand. So the Autoimmune-Free Cooking Club is here for you for that. I am also building an online course for people who specifically have Crohn's disease or colitis and are really wanting to get out from the bondage of those diseases. And this will be a primer on how to get started managing those diseases with functional medicine. And that's coming sometime early next year. I don't have an exact date for that yet. But go to my website, autoimmunefreecookingclub.com. There's the website there, and we'll have it linked in the notes as well. I'm going to say show notes. I've listened to so many podcasts that talk about the show. They'll link something in the show notes. In the notes of this video, I'll have the link down there. And there's a place where you can sign up to get on my mailing list. I'll send you a meal planning guide that will kind of get you on your way to figuring out how you can make this work for you day in and day out, and also put you on my list so I will let you know when enrollment opens, because we love to have a bigger group. The more the merrier, and this is my passion, and it's important to me to share with others what I've learned, because that's my one regret, honestly, is that I look at how long I suffered because I did not know. I did not know that what my doctors were recommending was wrong for my body, that the medication they had me on was not good for my body. How many years did I take the little purple pill for heartburn when I didn't even have heartburn? I had this weird abdominal pain. They didn't know why, because I had Crohn's disease. Had a very strange case of it. Anyway, I suffered for a long time because I did not know that there was an option. If I had known how to change my diet and some other lifestyle things, I would have done it like this, because I was suffering and I don't want other people to suffer. So that's why I have this YouTube channel. That's why I created the blog all those years ago. That's why I went back to school to study functional medicine, health coaching, because I want to help other people not suffer like I did. Okay, enough about that. I just wanted you to know what's available, kind of who I am, where I came from. I know we've had a ton of new subscribers lately, so that's who I am. This is almost ready. I want a little more of the water to cook out of this. So I just had somebody comment about my skillets. In several of my videos I've talked about needing a new nonstick skillet, because sometimes you just really need a real nonstick skillet. And, you know, not being able to find one that was a healthy kind that actually worked. They're so expensive. And I have just gone back to using my grandma's cast iron, which I love. My grandma was a great cook. That's really largely where I got my love of cooking from. So I love using her skillets. And they're so old that they really have a pretty good nonstick finish. Like pancakes, you know, it's kind of hard, but for most things they're great. But one day, my kids did the dishes, and, you know, you scrub them out with hot water and no soap or anything, and put them on the stove and turn the burner on to evaporate the water off quickly. And then I put a little oil in. Well, they put the burner on to evaporate the water and went outside. We were washing the cars. My husband and I were washing the cars, and the kids were doing the dishes. And I came in, like, there was this sort of smoky haze, and it just smelled. I knew the smell. It was that hot metal smell. And they had the burner on my skillet for 45 minutes, and it just burned the finish right off. Very sad. So I've been cooking with this one right here, the one that I use all the time. So I've been cooking with it as much as I can to get that finish is not the right word, the seasoning, to get the seasoning back on. It's coming back. But it's going to take some time. All right, so I want this to cool a little bit before I mix it with the eggs. So even though I would probably choose to cook that a little bit longer, I'm going to go ahead and take it off so that it can start to cool a little bit. And you know what? I'm going to pour it into a different pan because that cast iron will stay hot. So this is the onions, the celery, of course all that butter, which is flavor. You certainly don't need a half a cup of butter to cook your onions and celery, but because it's adding flavor and moisture, that's why we use that amount. But if you don't want to for some reason, no problem. Don't use that much butter. It smells so yummy. Yum, yum, yummy. All right, so let that cool for a minute. We're gonna get all the spices are around the edge. It looks really disgusting. I'm gonna get the bread out. Okay, so here's my bread, which actually this little stovetop burner, maybe it was $60. It was around that range. It's great, and it's a nice thing to have when you're gonna cook a big meal or serve a bunch of people. If you don't have, you know, I would love to have the dream big Wolf range with 6 or 8 burners. I would actually use them a lot because I do so much cooking. But this is a much less expensive way to get yourself some extra burners. It's not as great as my gas stove, but it does provide 2 extra burners. So if that's something that you need for holidays or whatever, I'll link that down in the notes as well. This is a good one. I've enjoyed it. Okay, so my cornbread dried out some. My bread was already fairly dry because I had it out. I just didn't have time to make my cornbread over the weekend, and so I just made it today. This is hot. It's been in the oven, and it is hot on my fingers. So why am I using my hands? So at this point, I'm just going to get all this bread. Remember, this was 8 cups. I'm going to toss this around. That was warm too. We'll continue to let that cool for just a few minutes while this just soaks up all this yummy liquid. Remember, I have 2 cups of broth in there, and I'm probably going to end up using 4, but I just wanted to start with less. I think my mother-in-law puts a dozen eggs in her dressing, and I used 5 or 6. So, and it bakes up, and it is fine. It's more of that wet sort of souffle type texture. Their family loves it. The taste of it is amazing. I, of course, haven't been able to eat it for many years because it has gluten in it, but The texture of it, I don't like. It's a little too wet for my preference. But it tastes great. All those eggs add a lot of richness. So all that to say, you can really make this any way you like. You can do a lot of customizing. This is an avocado oil spray. That's about out. You can tell when it doesn't spray out like in a nice big fan. It's just doing a little. It's about out. Now this is controversial. Some people won't eat raw eggs, but I will taste my dressing for seasoning, even though it has the raw eggs in it. Yeah, this is definitely going to need more broth, which is great. This broth tastes really good. This is from Costco. It's an amazing price. It's 6 quarts for $16 or $17. It's a really good one. I love to have it on hand for when I run out of broth. We use a lot, especially this time of year. We eat a lot of soups. And so we go through a lot of broth. So I'll make it pretty regularly. But I hate it when I plan something and that's something I forgot to check in the freezer. You know, did I have another container of broth? I feel like when I make it, I have so much. It's like, wow, I'm never going to use up all this broth. And I always do. All right, so these are all my ingredients minus the little broth. Let me give it a taste. There's plenty of the sage and thyme. It does need some salt. I'm not even going to measure it. I'm just going to pour it in. I'm going to go ahead and pour in some more broth because I know I want it. And like I said, my broth is unsalted. You can taste it while it's baking. You can add more broth while it's baking. You can add more salt while it's baking. Although it is harder to add the seasoning once it's cooking. It's not a big deal to add some broth to it and kind of stir that in. But it's harder to get your salt and pepper all distributed. It's so delicious. I love it. Okay, one more little taste. Yeah. Okay, in the pan it goes. I can't do that TV pour yet where you pour it backwards. It's like it's pouring out of the bowl facing you. That would be a disaster for me. Okay, so just spread it out. And in the oven it goes 350 and it's going to take about 30 minutes. I'll stir it around a couple times during that process. Okay, so this is like the piece de resistance of the Thanksgiving meal, in my opinion, the dressing. It's our favorite thing. Favorite thing. So it's nice and dark because of the cornbread was dark and the mushrooms, but it is just, oops, it's hot because it was in the oven. So yummy, so yummy. Again, you could make this a little more eggy, sort of a more wet texture if you prefer that. This is just right for us and super flavorful. Let me give it a little taste right here. Just love it. I love gravy on my dressing. This is some leftover gravy from when I did the turkey breast. I'm just going to put a little over my chicken. I'm not going to put it on my dressing yet because I need to photograph that. This is my cranberry relish. And I made this last week. Put that right there. And then very, very exciting, I have some, these were actually canned green beans. When I was making my green bean casserole, I had another whole can of green beans, so I just cooked those. So here is this isn't everything I made in the video, or made videos for. We also did a pie. So we did the turkey. This is obviously a rotisserie chicken, turkey and gravy, dressing, cranberry salad. Oh, the sweet potatoes. Which there might be a few sweet potatoes in there. My husband would love that if I had the sweet potatoes for him. But tonight, or today's video focused on our dressing. So completely paleo if you did not use butter. I used grass-fed butter, which really a lot of the paleo purists even are saying is fine. You just have to figure out if you can tolerate it or not. Certainly you can substitute ghee, olive oil. I would not use coconut oil. Ghee would be my first choice if you could not use butter. But even our bread is a paleo bread recipe, paleo cornbread, and it is super, super flavorful and delicious. And I can't wait for you to make these things and let me know what you think. If there is some Thanksgiving recipe you're just dying to have made over into a paleo version, let me know real quick and I'll see if I can make that happen before Thanksgiving. Maybe it could be a Christmas recipe. Just let me know. I love to do that sort of thing. And I hope you enjoyed this video. We are this close to 5,000 subscribers. We were this close before and something wacky happened. YouTube got rid of about 1,000 of my subscribers. And so we've climbed back up again. We're almost to 5,000. So if you like this video, if you like this kind of cooking, please subscribe, hit that little bell so you'll get notified when new videos come out. Share with your friends and family who need to maybe turn over a healthier leaf in the new year, and just come back. And I look forward to getting to know you, and I'll see you again next time from my kitchen. Thanks, everybody.